Hello there, one and all, and thank you very much for tuning in to episode 501 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, live on YouTube as always. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, there are 500 other episodes for you to watch, but please do consider subscribing. If you would like to find out how you can support my work, you should be able to see a link to my Ko-fi page in the video description below. But we need to get going because we have got 5 perfumes that we want to get through today. We have a comment as well from Ralph who says, hello, congrats on 25k. Thank you very, very much, Ralph. That refers to the fact that this morning when I woke up, I saw that I had gone through the 25,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. For all I know, that number has gone down since then because they do sometimes go down as well. Actually, I should check it out and see what it says. It still says 25k right now. I wonder what will happen if I refresh the page. We will mark that milestone as well in some way. I think on Sunday, I think maybe in a couple of days' time, we should do an Ask Me Anything video because I haven't done one of those for a while. But thank you very much for the moment for helping me get through that. But we need to do a normal episode. It feels like it's been a little while since we've done a regular review episode. Dry Martini is here as well, saying congratulations from Berlin, Germany. Thank you very much. So is Polpo. Kelly says hi. Sophia says hello. Kelly saying hello from Luxembourg. Benji says, smoking a cigar in my garden, listening to Persolaise. This is living. I hope you've got better weather than we have. Musk in Heaven says, congrats on 25k. You deserve more. Well, I'm not sure about deserve, but I'm very, very happy with what I've got. We will save those celebrations for Sunday. I reckon 5 p.m. UK time this Sunday, an Ask Me Anything video. What do you think? Are people up for that? Or am I just going to sit staring at the camera for an hour with no questions being asked? Anyway, today I would like to do what we used to call a feature-length episode, where we will not split the reviews up into separate videos, but look at a few things that have come my way. I'm calling it a sort of new releases for October video, but some are newer than others. So we have got things here from Burberry, from Boadicea the Victorious, from Bentley, from Aesop, and also a tiny little vial of something rather interesting from Papillon. And I think we ought to start with the Boadicea. We have got pre-sprayed blotters. We have got, in some cases, some press relief type. Press relief would be a fine thing, wouldn't it? So, some press release type stuff. If you have tried any of these, please do let me know what you think of them. If you are at all interested in trying them, let me know as well. Or if for some reason you're not at all interested in trying them, please do let me know. Lots and lots of thumbs up here for Papillon. Unsurprisingly, I was going to say an underrated brand, but it's not underrated at all. It's actually very, very highly rated. Maybe what I mean is, you know, a brand that we don't talk about enough, that deserves even more recognition and even more acclaim than it has so far. We'll get to that. Let's start with Boadicea. Not a brand we have talked a lot about on this channel. In fact, I wonder if I've ever reviewed a Boadicea, and this 10 ml bottle was sent my way of their brand new one called Defender. So there you go. I don't know which. I suppose, is this the front or the back? There you go. Let's do this where you can see the name. Now, Boadicea the Victorious is a brand that's changed hands quite a lot. I think I'm right in saying that back in the day, and we're really going back a few years now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure that back in the day, it was overseen by Michael Bodie. But then that sort of changed, and I think Michael Bodie then had something to do with Electimus, and that changed as well. And I don't know who owns them now. I don't know who the creative direction is by now, but they have gone through a little bit of a revamp. They're offering these 10 mils as a sort of discovery set as well of some of their other ones. And as I say, this is called Defender. It's credited to Kamila Lelakova, and they're saying that's their first female perfumer. So let us see what we make of it. Here we go. Even though I've done the pre-spray blotter, I haven't actually smelt this too much. I have to say, what is wafting my way so far is rather loud and underwhelming. and ever so sort of crude and uninspired. It feels like, so far, a burst of kind of fruity hairspray. So there's something quite kind of synthetic and standoffish about it. Synthetically floral, synthetically fruity, and also just sort of synthetically synthetic in the sense of being really quite plasticky, nail varnish remover, very, very sort of acetate or acetone type smells. Quite harsh to start with. Oh, anybody out there tried this so far? Looking forward to the Ask Me Anything video, says Sue Ellen. That's very kind. Thank you very much. Mooncake Rabbit Hender says, just ordered 4 of them last night. I guess you mean these ones. Musk in Heaven says, Boadicea never blew me away, but the price did. I know. I mean, this is like silly price territory again. I think, how much does, no, wrong brand. 100 mils on the UK site of Defender is £450. This does not smell like £450 worth of perfume. Let's see what they say about it. Layers of imaginatively composed notes. Well, probably my imagination isn't sufficiently layered to grasp these particular layers. Anyway, Notes, Accords and Technologies by Kamila Lelakova. Does that sentence scan? Never mind, move on. The first female perfumer for Boadicea the Victorious has produced a bold perfume of tenacity and emotional impact. Defender opens with a rebellious shout of zesty ginger, grapefruit, and unexpected swirls of dark licorice and honeyed cognac. Okay, you could have fooled me. I mean, ginger is usually a gloriously happy, life-affirming, optimistic, zesty, zingy sort of scent. I mean, out of those, what have they said? Ginger, grapefruit, dark licorice, and honeyed cognac. I mean, maybe something that's heading in the sort of sulfurous direction of grapefruit. But, okay, let us carry on. Honeyed cognac mingled with a fascinating red berry compote and hints of kirsch. I suppose there are perfumers out there who could make ginger, grapefruit, licorice, cognac, red berries, and kirsch smell appealing or interesting. But at the moment, I'm thinking that reads like a little bit of a mess, and it smells like a little bit of a mess. Yes, I mean, what do you think? Now I'm tempted to go into the kitchen and create some sort of a dessert that combines ginger, grapefruit, unexpected swirls of licorice, red berries, kirsch, and serve them with some cognac. That's confusing, says Mooncake. Yes, I know. Trina says, Boadicea is just too loud and synthetic for me. None of the offerings have touched me, especially for the price. Yes, I think we're probably on the same page. Let us carry on. Orange Blossom, of course, announces the arrival of Defender's all-important Heart of Night Blooming Jasmine. Now I'm just thinking I would much rather reach for my Serge Lutin's Fils de Joie. Night Blooming Jasmine, and the background for the jasmine is an alluring blend of mournful myrrh. Oh, you just know that the only reason that myrrh is mournful is so that they could have the alliteration in that press release. Anyway, alluring blend of mournful myrrh, its earthy smoke and balsamic mood, mixed with a note of hay absolute used by Defender perfumer Kamila Lelakova to hint at Boadicea's childhood, farming wheat and barley with her family. Before she went and killed... Who was she meant to have defended? Did she fight the Romans? I don't know. I mean, my knowledge of that particular period of history is restricted to an episode of Doctor Who, as Doctor Who story, where they met Boadicea and they didn't know they were meeting Boadicea. I also love the fact that that sentence is so convoluted, it completely falls apart. Okay, so this is meant to be Boadicea's childhood, farming wheat and barley with her family. Oriana says, insert adjective plus accord. Yes, I know. Gavin says, oh gosh, She was Iceni, fought the Romans, who I think killed her daughters. So there's kind of trauma coming in this story as well, isn't there? Anyway, the other main note is a verdigris leather accord, a seductive homage to the tactile, atmospheric nature of natural skins and hides. Just before the battle, right? Oh dear. What kind of press release is that? Says Trina. Yeah. At least the press release is entertaining. This isn't a press release. I don't have a proper press release. This is prose that is inflicted on everybody. This is from their website. You could go and read that for yourselves right now. And yes, main notes are ginger, grapefruit, red fruits, and honey. And what is that? It then. But there's more. There's more. Defender is the magnificent incarnation of Queen Boadicea's enduring biography of power. Biography of power. Okay. Layers of imaginatively composed. Oh no, we've had this. Defender is an extraordinary composition opening with a rebellious shout of zesty ginger. We've had the unexpected swirls of dark licorice. Okay, fine. But there is a metallic tang to the opening stages. You can say that again. Adrenaline and silver pulsing to activate our senses and memories before coalescing into an intense language of tempered bombast. Tempered bombast. Oh, I would so love to get my red pen. Actually, the teacher in me is never without one of these pens. I have a red pen right here, but I'm not going to write all over my tablet screen with it. Okay. Mooncake says, I've ordered this, so will be interesting to experience it. Yes, I think please do come back and let us know. It is calming a little bit, at which point that means that I should go for the pre-sprayed blotter. What's Gavin saying? They threw in the Stone Age kitchen sink with this one in the notes. I know. I mean, absolutely. Where's the pre-sprayed Defender? Here we go. Okay. Okay, decidedly calmer. She is now having a nice time out in the fields with her family. It's a beautiful harvest moon. Definitely calmed down, but it doesn't feel especially naturalistic. So, we're meant to be getting orange blossom and hay and licorice and all of those sorts of notes. I'm still getting kind of generic hairspray syntheticness that is maybe a little bit less angry and a little bit quieter. And okay, you can't necessarily pick out a particular note or an individual note, but I think in this case in a bad way, rather than because it's a sort of fascinatingly abstract composition. So no. I've also noticed, just looking out the corner of my eye, that they have one perfume that they call Boadicea, which is so many levels of wrong somehow. So no, sorry, afraid can't give this one a thumbs up at all. So I think, is she dancing naked in the moon, says Trina. If you want her to be dancing naked in the moon, she is dancing naked in the moon. In my imagination, she's being very demure and very helpful to her family while thinking about how many Romans she's going to slaughter. Legion Florence says maybe she is driving into battle in a Defender from Land Rover. Yes, I like that image too. Perhaps she's got a sort of fighting the invading hordes playlist playing in the car. I can see that working. Oriana says, I have Bodacious, which is a nice cherry woody almond scent. Okay, the rest is just not worth it for me. Thank you very much. And Sophia says, needed a good laugh this morning. Well, hopefully we have provided that. She was from Norfolk, says Gavin. Just felt I needed to say that. Perfect time to move on. Okay, from Boadicea, let's go to Burberry. Let's go to the Goddess. Now, this is an interesting one. So this is the new intense EDP of Burberry Goddess. So Eau de Parfum Intense of Burberry Goddess, composed by Amandine Clerc-Marie. And why are we doing this one? Because the original Goddess kind of passed me by. I wasn't especially interested in it, but I was at an event a little while ago, quite a bizarre event in many ways, and I've written it up. I've written about it, and I think I'm going to post the write-up on my Substack on Sunday. See how that goes. And this is one of the perfumes that we smelt. And I immediately found myself being intrigued by it. And then when it was explained to us why we were smelling it, I thought, oh, yes, actually, there is something interesting going on here. So let's have a respray. And I will tell you what I think is interesting about this one. I think quite a smart bottle as far as sort of simple bottles go. I mean, the shape couldn't be any simpler. It's just, your fairly basic rectangle. But there's something about it that's fairly elegant. I suppose I quite like the cap. Anyway, or maybe it's the color. Maybe it's the fact that all of the glass has got this sort of golden hue. Anyway, why are we talking about this one? What are folks saying about, by the way? Sahika says, I heard that fragrantics are more interested in smelling perfumes than wearing them. Would you agree with that? Do you mean like fragrance enthusiasts? I think it's both. I mean, I love smelling them and wearing them. Shan says, oh, this is the intense. I was very underwhelmed by the original. And Gavin says, sometimes the higher versions of designer scents are the ones to get. See YSL Libre. Okay, so yeah, it is interesting. This is basically a vanilla composition. It's like a sort of vanilla on vanilla on vanilla. And actually, the brand are very, very open about that. Now, do I have a press thing here on this one? Because they say that they have used 3 different types of vanilla, including a very, very interesting Firmenich vanilla material. We'll come to that in a sec. But the vanilla is combined with really quite a bold, striking dose of lavender, quite unexpectedly. And it's almost like, the lavender is so big that you nearly can't see it until somebody comes along and says, by the way, have you picked out the lavender? And then, of course, you can't unsee it. And so immediately you've gone down the rabbit hole of scents like Pour un homme de 40, of Chanel's Jersey, if you remember that one, which have got these huge, huge lavender facets, lavender notes, married to something that is caramelized and sweet and resinous. And the different iterations of that scent that we've had, of that structure that we've had along the way, either emphasize or de-emphasize, the sweetness. So they tone down the sweetness and they up the lavenderiness, the camphoraceousness, and each one brings something interesting to the mix. So I still think the pinnacle of this particular structure is the Caron. But maybe I would say that because it is the most overtly lavendery and maybe the most safely masculine. Chanel's Jersey, I was never a huge fan of because I thought that really went with the sweetness a little bit too far. But this is actually quite intriguing because I think they've allowed the lavender to be quite twiggy and woody and almost just a little bit sour. And combined with the vanilla, that does create an interesting effect. What do they say? They say Burberry Goddess is a story of self-discovery found through confidence, strength, and kindness. Inspired by the colors at sunset, Burberry Goddess Eau de Parfum Intense is housed in a square bottle filled with a light ambery fragrance. The signature trio of vanillas from Goddess EDP is amplified with a 4th vanilla wood that has a smoky character, and you definitely get a kind of dark smokiness here. When combined with a luminous lavender essence, and yes, I completely go with that description here, the luminous, it intensifies the scent with a vibrant woody aroma. And it works. And I think actually it would work as a masculine, and I'm definitely going to be giving this a test drive, but it's also an opportunity for me to mention this vanilla material. So as I say, it's a Firmenich material that they are calling fir good, fir as in the fir tree, so FIRGOOD. And if you can bear with me, I'll just read you a little bit from an article that Nay magazine published in May 2023. They say that they said then, for over 6 years, a team of researchers has been working on a secret project within Firmenich's Grasse facility. It involves the development of a brand new extraction method to tackle a twofold challenge. Firstly, the need to process ingredients which have hitherto been difficult to extract. And secondly, the urgent need for extraction methods which are more sustainable and which use less energy and fewer resources. Xavier Brochet, Global Head of Natural Product Innovation at Firmenich, says all of our progress over the last few years has helped us turn a theoretical ideal into reality, an extraction method which doesn't involve a solvent. We have just passed a milestone. After lab trials, we are scaling up to industrial volumes. And I'll just read one more paragraph because we won't get too technical here, but it says the method consists of applying electromagnetic frequencies to a fresh biomass. When exposed to these, the vibration of oxygen-hydrogen bonds produces friction that induces a rise in temperature. The constituting water begins to warm up, inducing cell disruption and conveying the aroma compounds. Sophie Lavoine, Director of Naturals Innovation at Firmenich, says, so no solvent is required other than water, which comes mainly from the biomass itself. This innovation is the culmination of advances in extraction technology, which have always been moving towards safer and greener solvents. Benzene was replaced by hexane, then supercritical carbon dioxide, and now the water in the ingredients themselves. What I might do is perhaps in the video description for this video, I will include a link to the rest of this article from Ney, but because I would say it's well worth reading. And this vanilla fur good is part of what's included in this perfume. This sounds like microwaving, says Gavin. Maybe it is in a way. Maybe it is. Let's go to the pre-sprayed goddess. Pre-sprayed goddess. Oh, okay. Interesting choice of words. The pre-sprayed Burberry. Not this one. There we go. Okay, so as it develops, it maybe becomes a bit less naturalistic. I think what I like about the opening of it is that it feels properly vanillic and properly lavendery. And it does actually feel like something that you would imagine some kind of Greek goddess greeting the morning with. I mean, I don't know, name a goddess of, was you know, a goddess of the morning or of the dawn. Who was the goddess of the dawn? And I guess now it's become a bit thinner, a bit more synthetic, a bit more crass, which is a shame, you know, pretty standard mainstream fare of grab people with the opening and then don't bother so much about the dry down. But worth a sniff just so that you get that contrast between the lavender and the vanilla. And Gavin says Aurora. Esumar says, who is the perfumer? This is, I'm pretty sure it's Amandine Clerc-Marie. Doc Loch says, I'm new to the channel. You're very welcome. Catching my first live from Tokyo. So what time? Oh, it's really, really late there. So I can't say Ohio, can I? But you're very welcome. Absolutely love your reviews. Thank you very much. You introduced me to Le Lion and I'm now roaring every day. Ah, Le Lion. Amazing, amazing perfume. But I am still going to wear this, even though I think the dry down is a bit of a letdown. I'm still going to wear this. I'm going to give it a proper test drive, a proper skin drive. Okay, let's finish with the bees. So we've done Boadicea, Burberry. Let's do the final one of the bees. This is brand new from Bentley. Oriana says, solvent-free extraction, funnily enough, is super ancient. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I mean, are you thinking of something like enfleurage? And I suppose, yes, back in the day, you wouldn't have had a solvent. You would have had just some sort of, is this what you're thinking? That you would have had, you know, some kind of physical extraction, you know, like pressing? Is that what you mean? Gavin says, as I love devotion, I think this might be up my alley. Do you mean the Burberry? It may well be. Have you tried the new tower, Mr. P, says Mosque in Heaven? No. And I would really, really like to. But isn't it a limited edition again? I'll have to see if I can get a sample. Anyway, this is new from Bentley. This is credited to Alienor Massenet, and it's called Bentley Become, which, you know, on the one hand, you kind of think, oh, that's quite a good name for a perfume. And then you also think, oh, that's a little bit of a silly name for a perfume. You know, become, it's all to do with manifesting, I suppose, isn't it? Let us have a spray. We have, I mean, what do we think of the bottle, seeing as we're talking about bottles? It's I suppose, inoffensively simple design. I like the smoky effect. Now, Bentley is not a brand that we talk about very much on this channel. I suppose their fragrance is tend not to be the sort of thing that most viewers of this channel would be interested in. But, you know, I will always have time for Bentley for Men Absolute. And some of their sort of ingredient-based releases, some of the more expensive, the sort of niche ones, the independent ones are, the exclusive ones rather, gosh, I'm losing my words, are interesting. But this is a sort of mainstream Bentley, so let's see what we make of this one. Ooh, lots of pepper. Really, really peppery opening. And I do like a peppery opening. But you also think, oh, okay, so what's going to be there to replace the pepper once the pepper inevitably fades away? But beyond the pepper, it's pretty standard masculine fare. I mean, you can feel that it's going to go into some woods, you know, maybe that kind of juniper berry heart, probably a fairly standard, attractive, none too demanding, challenging, musky, woody base. Very pleasant. It's fine so far. Probably would grab your attention if you were to smell the top notes, which is why that all-important pre-sprayed blotter needs to be smelt as well. Pepper, pepper, pepper so far, but not with that kind of beautiful holographic photorealism of, you know, Comme des Garçons black pepper, which I think is still the high watermark of pepper perfumes. What can I tell you about this one? Probably not a huge amount. The all-new Bentley Become combines an intense burst of orange and bergamot with herbaceous Madagascan black pepper oil. Yeah, pepper and bergamot. You don't get a kind of more standard masculine opening than that. Zesty notes of juniper and the rich woody embrace of myrrh. I'm so glad the myrrh is not mournful in this particular case. It soon reveals notes of Virginian cedarwood, Santal album, vetiver, and patchouli. So yeah, you don't get a more kind of predictably masculine reading than that. Bergamot, pepper, cedarwood, sandalwood, vetiver, patchouli. Created in partnership with Simrise, renowned supplier of upcycled, recycled, and renewable ingredients, Bentley Become represents an exhilarating new direction for Bentley fragrances. All plants used in its production are artisanally sourced, of course, and the bottle is entirely recyclable, including its aluminium cap. An undeniably forward-looking fragrance, they call it. Well, you know, it's £80 for 100 mils, which is a bit of a bargain these days, isn't it? But it doesn't do anything at all unusual. Let's go to the pre-sprayed one. Where is pre-sprayed Bentley? No. Here we are. Okay, well, bearing in mind this was sprayed, I don't know, what, a couple of hours ago, 3 hours ago? It's still in good shape. It's still pretty intact. It's doing what it's meant to be doing, in the sense that, you know, the pepper is actually still much more detectable than I thought it would be. And it hasn't just become a predictable, dull, musky patchouli. You get a touch of the isoe super cedar woodiness. You get a hint of vetiver. I mean, it's actually, I was expecting it to be a lot simpler and a lot more monodimensional than this, but it's very pleasant, very, very nicely done. Which, you know, you kind of expect from Alienor Massenet. She's an extremely talented and quite idiosyncratic sort of perfumer. It's just very, very, very predictable and quite derivative, and not especially interesting, I suppose. Just does what it says on the tin, and I don't know what else to say about it, really. What are you talking about? Hero? I think you won't like Hero. What was that? I don't know what you're talking about there. I genuinely don't know what else to say about this one. So, you know, it's just like a sort of pretty classic 3-star perfume, I suppose. Completely does what it says on the tin. maybe it shouldn't have become, it shouldn't be called Bentley Become. Maybe it should be just like Bentley Is, because it's not becoming anything. It just is. That's my 2 cents worth. Okay. Sorry, but there is really genuinely nothing else to say about that one, except that at £80, I suppose, if you wanted to spend that much on a gift for someone, it would probably be a very, very safe purchase. Okay, let us move on to the fourth one that we want to smell today. It's the latest from Aesop, and it's called Virere. I suppose that's how we pronounce it. Composed by Barnabe Fillion. Aesop is quite hit and miss, isn't it? I wore Marrakesh Intense just the other day and just was reminded of how much I like it and how wonderful it is. It's still probably their best scent. But in recent years, they've become maybe a little bit pretentious with their stories, a little bit highfalutin, and sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. They had an incense one that they released. Was it last year that I thought was quite interesting? Was that Uranon? The names I don't think help particularly. It's all very well having original different names, but when the names are quite difficult to remember and are completely out there and you sort of can't necessarily relate them to what the smell is, I don't think that particularly works. But anyway, this is Virere, of which I did have an initial sniff quite some time ago, and I thought, oh, need to come back to this one. Yes, I think this may be one of the ones that I give a thumbs up to. It's the first burst is what I can only describe, I think, as a kind of green apple inflected incense. A lot of their perfumes are quite resinous. I think the perfumer does like his resins and does like his olibanum and frankincense and all the rest of it. I like Tacit, says Scott. Yes, I think I like Tacit. And Rosu was nice as Ryan. I really liked Rosu. I think I made Rosu one of my perfumes of the year it came out. Aesop's fragrances, says Esumar, are much more expensive than they should be. They're certainly not cheap either. You're absolutely right. But this is curious because, with the other one I said, I forget which one it was it Defender? I said you couldn't particularly pick out any specific notes, but not in a good way. Here, you can't necessarily pick out specific notes, but I think that's because you're genuinely being presented with something that is well blended and is quite convincingly abstract. This makes you want to delve in further. So you get something woody, you get something peppery, you get something appley, like I said, tart green. You definitely get something smoky and incensey. But rather than going, into church and being all meditative and contemplative, that apple note, or whatever it is, or what I'm reading as an apple note, makes the incense invigorating somehow. And I think that's what makes this curious. A few Aesop perfumes, unfortunately, don't remain interesting into their sort of development as they are at the opening. But this one certainly starts off interestingly. Are they now owned by... Oh, they are now owned by L'Oreal, says Gavin. I believe you're right. They certainly were bought by somebody big, and I think it may have been L'Oreal. Anyway, we have a press release for this one. Evoking sun-warmed citrus fruits, fragrant fig trees, and green tea. Fig. Not in a overdone way. I'm personally get annoyed if fig is overdone, but it hasn't been here. Aesop's latest fragrance germinates thoughts of sun-drenched vistas and fragrant summer breezes, underlining the transportive power of scent. This notion is conveyed via visuals, installations, and experiences that are as non-linear as the nature of memory itself. Tell us about the perfume. During the formulation process, long-term fragrance collaborator Barnabe Fillion drew on holiday memories of the Mediterranean, in particular a morning spent below a sunlit canopy. He says, "There is something poetic to me about taking time to be under the fig tree and to make the right tea." What, while you're under a canopy? Okay. "Each time I think about the fragrance," he says, "I see myself in this moment or during times spent cycling on little roads lined with fragrant trees that perfume the air. Such points of inspiration led to an intricate blend that conjures the many aspects of fig, from rich woodiness to sumptuous verdancy and sprightly citrus notes. Well, if it's meant to be like sort of fig from top to bottom, okay, but it's not. You know how fig sometimes just becomes too sickly? I mean, in perfumes, and either too green or somehow too dewy, bulbous. It didn't instantly make me think of fig, I have to say, but that's okay, because I'm still enjoying this kind of appley, green, tart incense connection. Pretentious blurb alert, says Scott for, oh, well, no, we've had a lot worse than this one, haven't we? The story of Virere Eau de Parfum was captured by Aesop's in-house creative team amid a lush scenery of rolling hills somewhere in southern Europe. Rather than simply portray the beauty of such a location, the still and motion footage was developed to express the way in which memory comes to us through flashes, blurs, and snapshots. Well, that's fine. I don't particularly want to know about that. Alongside the imagery, sculptural forms, etc., etc. So we don't have anything else about the perfume. Okay, so it's meant to be all fig, fig, fig. Well, I'm telling you that it's more than just fig, fig, fig. Definitely more than just fig, fig, fig. I think that's a little bit of an undersell, that. I mean, they should be sort of saying that it's more complex. Where's the pre-sprayed Aesop? Here we go, pre-sprayed Aesop. It's still, I mean, okay. It's leafy, woody, barky. Not dog barky, you know what I mean. Definitely get an incense note there. And definitely a hint of something almost kind of like soil, patchouli, borderline biscuity. And a nice citrus note still there, even though this was sprayed a few hours ago. A very, very convincing sort of citrus note. I think it's one of the better ones. And I'm going to wear this some more. What does it say on the box? The box basically says bergamot fig green tea. Fine. Okay. But I think if you're after an incense note that's kind of green, you ought to check this one out. I think it works quite well. Definitely one of the better Aesops. Definitely one of the better Aesops. And I shall look forward to wearing it properly soon. And that brings us to the one that's in the smallest vial, but I think probably has the biggest heart. This is a tiny little vial that I managed to get for myself of the latest from Papillon. Papillon is the independent brand based in the New Forest, not a million miles away from where I am right now. The brand founded by Liz Moores, who is the perfumer as well. She is a self-taught, entirely independent perfumer who has very, very deservedly managed to make a big success of her brand. And I think she has got lots and lots of fans out there. Anything that she makes is always interesting, always worth trying. You know, when you've made lots of perfumes, then obviously you're going to get to the point where some people like some of your work more than others. So, for instance, I know that things like Anubis and Tobacco Rose have got a huge following among some people, but I've always found the likes of Angelique and Dryad more interesting because I guess they're a little bit more different. Something like Anubis and Tobacco Rose, I feel I can kind of go for that sort of scent to lots of other places, whereas maybe not so much for Dryad and Angelique. This is Liz Moore's latest. It's called Epona. I hope I'm saying that right. I think that's another sort of goddess that may have something to do with equestrian ideas. I know that Liz is very much into horses, horse riding, etc. And I think I'm right in saying, I'm just looking at the website now. Have I completely made that up, that this is something to do with a equestrian goddess? If it isn't, then I'm really, really sorry. Gavin says Epona was a track on Ennia's The Celts album. Ah, I did not know this. Liz Moore's is sublime, says Ryan, and her scents are wonders. They're all really, really interesting, aren't they? Absolutely worth trying. Spell 125 I like, says Musk in Heaven. It's dedicated to her horse, is it not, says Ryan. Ah, yes, I knew it was something like that. The horses trend and the goddesses trend, says Musk in Heaven. I know. I'm a fan of Papillon, says Trina. Definitely into equestrian. Okay, so we have a pre-dipped blotter, but this is the one I've dipped just now. We've said horses. You knew it was going to be a kind of equestrian leather, and sure enough, that is exactly what it is. Did you smell this already? I'm having strong deja vu on this, says Gavin. Okay, I know what you mean. It's quite an old school, beautifully done, soft suede leather. So you're in the territory of whatever scent you want to name, from the 50s or 60s that makes you think of the inside of a favorite aunt's handbag or a grandmother's handbag, something like that. Do you remember, what was the one that Dior that did, but that was like that? Cuir Canage. Do you remember Cuir Canage from the Dior collection Privé? Discontinued, I think, but that really, really played on that old school leather thing very well. But that was quite loud and shouty, and that was, not just the interior of your favorite aunt's handbag, but that was your favorite aunt actually shoving your nose into that handbag and making every single person in the room smell it. This is more subtle. This is definitely much more discreet. It's more elegant. This makes you feel that you can see this beautiful horse galloping off into the distance. And I think I know what you're saying, Gavin, in the sense that maybe we've smelt this sort of leather accord before. I'm also thinking of maybe the work that we get from Naomi Goodsir, things like Corpus Equus, but also compared to that, it's the elegance of Epona and the discretion that I think is its chief selling point. The leather is beautifully birch tar-like. There's a kind of a Popanax note that comes through there as well. There's definitely a kind of, I know zero about horses, but I would imagine that a clean horse would smell like this. But it's the fact that she's managed to make this distinctive and yet not shouty and elegant and sophisticated that I think is, why you need to smell this. Because often scents like this achieve their effect and present their personality in quite an ostentatious way. And this, a really, really gorgeous kind of leathery petrol note, all the sorts of notes that we love. Cuir Canage is smoky, if I recall, says Ryan. Yes, I think you may be right. Anyway, what does the brand say about this one? The strength and majesty of leather, the sweet dance of hay on a summer's eve. Hay was mentioned in the other one. You definitely get it in this one. You don't so much in the other one. And overarching these, the compelling velvet heat of horse hide. Epona, a tribute to the Celtic goddess of horses, I knew there'd be something about goddesses there, captures the essence of equine potency and pastoral tranquility. Now, you see, if you told me that this was Boadicea enjoying some quality time with her family, I would have been much more convinced. The delicate floral touches of violet dance in ebbing sunbeams, while distinct saddle soap accord brings a vibrancy that springs forth from balmy hair. This is a perfect match with what you are smelling, which is why Liz Moores is great and her brand is wonderful, whereas maybe some other brands are not quite so convincing. Because as I'm reading Violet, I'm going, oh yes, of course. And hey, oh yes, of course. And some kind of saddle soap, whatever that is, it does smell like a soap that is used to clean leather. Gods and goddesses streak luminous resin fingerprints on sun-drenched saddles, thundering hooves softened with honey, verdant grass tumbles and sears in August's gilded sun. Colt strands stream in summer's soft tempest. Oh, gosh, don't try reading that after you've had a couple of glasses of Chardonnay. Cold strands stream in summer's soft tempest. Well done, whoever wrote that, for sticking that out there for people to try to get their tongue over. And you breathe again with leather, heat, meadows, and skin. But yeah, I agree. I agree with the content. And then it goes on to say, Epona embodies the cherished memories of Liz's bond with her beloved horse amidst the enchanting English countryside. Inspired by their intimate connection, it captures the essence of warm summer days spent amidst sweet hayfields and the gentle caress of the sun. The fragrance intertwines notes of leather, opopanax, and violet to evoke the comforting scent of a cherished saddle and the earthy aroma of a horse's coat. With a subtle hint of saddle soap accord, it reminisces the tender care lavished upon a faithful companion. Never mind, we'll let that one go. Epona is a nostalgic ode to the timeless bond between horse and rider amidst nature's embrace. Liz has placed her own leather accord and distinctive horse accord against honey, vetiver, oak moss, and petitgrain for a complex and stirring capturing of horse skin, hair, leather, and meadows. Yeah, and it's really, really physical, and complex and stirring is just right. And to me, it's the intimacy of it that works really, really well. I would love to snuggle up to somebody that smells of this. Where's the pre-dipped one? So pre-dipped Epona. Yeah, and what she's done is that she's kept it intact, so it hasn't fallen apart. It hasn't resorted to simple musks or simple woods. It's still radiating and projecting the same personality, but it's still also managed to keep that volume knob low, which is quite a feat, I think, because not everybody always wants that kind of leather note to shout. Something like Canisia 10, Canisia 10 does push itself out there a little bit more, and that's brilliant. I love Canisia 10. But there might be occasions when you want an expression of intimacy, and Epona is the one. I am definitely tempted to get a bottle of this for myself. The website says pre-order. I wonder if it isn't available then. Is it still not out? Anyway, definitely one to try from Liz. And there we are. We are done. Thank you very much for watching. Over the next few weeks and months, or whenever you watch this video, if you get to try any of these, please do come back and let me know what you think of them. But yes, I will post some confirmation on the community tab here on YouTube and also probably on Instagram. But all being well, I will aim to come back on Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time with an Ask Me Anything video. So start thinking of some questions. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Be good now.